Hey guys, Tara here, bringing you a 1v1. This is from GCS2 qualifications tournament 4, the quarterfinals. Generally, I haven't been doing the quarterfinal series. I've been leaving those to the assigned casters, but on this occasion, VonIvan said this was a must-cast series. So we're going to take a look at it. Jett as US Forces has infantry company, heavy cavalry and armor. So definitely a little bit off meta, no airborne, no recon. And he used to be quite a heavy user of recon. Maybe he thinks the Greyhound has just been nerfed a little bit too much. I think recently I've been seeing him use infantry company, but we'll see how it shakes out. And VonIvan going as Overwatch. He's been practicing this strategy quite a lot on stream. So we'll have to see how it works out. Okay, he is indeed going for infantry. I was correct. I haven't seen this match, so I'm not just making that up. Just I've had enough chances to view these guys play, so I know their strategies a little bit. So Jay gets some sandbags down on the VP flag. Makes things a little bit trickier to wire off. Student Pioneers get a good angle here. Rifleman gonna need to retreat. Finally makes his way over the cover now, and yeah, you just jump out of the building and easily win the engagement at that range. They retreat. Re-echelons and Rifleman here should be able to win this engagement. VonIvan switches targets very early on. Good micro from him there. He's right on top of things. Rifleman out here on negative cover, fighting two squads now, taking a lot of damage. He really wants to kill that Kugel, but it's not going to happen. Looks like he's gone for 3 rifle build into Lieutenant. Something you don't see too often. Suggests that maybe he's going to be going for the M20. Which is again another unit you don't see too often. I don't think any of these flares have gone off yet. So I don't think Jay knows that VonIvan's gone for Overwatch yet. But he's going to find out pretty soon. It's really the strength of Overwatch. I mean, the flares are pretty nice for knowing what's going around the map. And they're free as well. So it's just like free recon all the time. It sets off one over here now, so he will be aware that it is Overwatch. Oh! Oh, loses that rifle squad on retreat. That is costly. But yeah, the strength of Overwatch is of course the Goliath, like a mobile demo charge. Quite slow. So can sometimes be, and its camouflage isn't quite as good as snipers, but yeah, because it's mobile, it's obviously very good. You can just like wheel into a reasonably safe position, then try drive it into a unit's retreat path and blow them up on retreat. Or you can just hide them like as you come around a corner. It does require the player playing with the Goliath to be very on top of the Goliath game. It requires quite a lot of focus to optimize it. But player of VonIvan's caliber, who's practiced it quite a lot, should be able to execute it just fine. Jay's really been suffering not having an ambulance. His units are so low. Getting one now. Just retreats super early. Doesn't want to lose all that manpower. But losing that rifle squad was really costly for Jay. His early engagement near the church was just a disaster for him as well. Trying to kill the Kubel that ended up retreating back here. Engagements he's been taking haven't been very good so far. Very manpower inefficient. And I think one of the keys to beating Overwatch is keeping the pressure on, especially on their munitions so they can't build too many Goliaths, but keeping the pressure on and then making them really feel the hurt from not being able to spend munitions on mines, weapon upgrades and Fausts. There's Goliath in position next to the church, or VonIvan. Building a looks now as well. So it's still going forward looks. This thing with Goliath, if you detonate yourself, does 400 damage I believe, but if it blows up, like if it gets killed and blows up, only does 200 damage. So definitely a lot better if you can detonate it yourself. And this could be a massive problem. Big blob coming out, Goliath nearby. I believe that sweepers have enhanced detection radius against them, and that's probably why you can see it there. He notices it now and goes in to spot it. Kind of surprising that units that have bonus camouflage detection like the M20 don't spot it more easily as well. Now Jay in a bit of trouble, facing down the looks, second Goliath laying in wait. Just got himself a 50 cal and he's ticking bazookas. Feigning that he has bazookas already equipped, VonIvan playing it safe, but now he realizes that it's not. Just about completed. I'll pick a couple of them up. I'm kind of surprised Jay's going for infantry company. Like, two of the strengths of this commander are sandbags, very good, and M1919s, which means you don't have to spend your early resources on weapon upgrades. I think there's two of the strengths of using this commander, and just planted one set of sandbags, but that's it so far. Close enough with that incendiary grenade, forces the machine gun back. But yeah, then on top of this, so already kind of lacking anti-tank with this commander. Don't have the power drop AT guns. And going for the lieutenant on top of that kind of forces you into weapon tech, which then means you don't get to exploit that advantage of not needing the weapon upgrades.
Our supply line is cut. Germans are making a push.
Flowing quite a lot of manpower here. M20 really not equipped to fight the looks. I imagine maybe the M20 could penetrate the looks as rear armor, like just very, very, very rarely, but not enough to really count.
Supply half track is in action. Standing by.
Oh. Things are not going too well for Jay here, but having trouble getting out of his base now. Going for the double 50 cals, which do alright against looks, especially when they use the arm-piercing rounds, but he doesn't have munitions to make use of the arm-piercing rounds and get some more bazookas. This looks is keeping him pinned in. Oh, and here we could be about to see the first Goliath explosion, not quite. Goes around to the VP, but there's a machine gun up there, so that's not going to work out for him. Double bazookas, good. VonIvan putting down his tech. 350 cals for Jay. That is a lot. Trying to soften up the units inside the building there. Oh, VonIvan a bit slow to move his looks. Oh. Gets away though. Now Jay going for a mortar. He's having trouble getting these units out of the buildings next to his base. Jay has been, holding on to the southern VP, but now VonIvan going for 3 machine guns in response. So that mortar's definitely gonna earn its keep this game. But yeah, this is not the kind of start that I was talking about if you want to counter Overwatch. VonIvan really hasn't been under much pressure. I don't think it's all Jay's fault. It's just sometimes the engagements that you pick don't end up working out for you in the early game. You zig when you should have zagged, and then all of a sudden you're way behind. VonIvan perhaps thinking that the Goliath was getting barraged, moved it. Now moving even closer. Maybe he wants to go after that mortar team.
Reinforcements in. Taking fire!
But these situations are, units camped in buildings is why not having a flamethrower is just so tough sometimes. This building's very hard to deal with. And VonIvan just sitting and waiting for squads to run into his defensive positions with the Goliaths and for them to strike. That's the first one going off there. That's a shame. Rifleman goes down. Oh, Goliath going after the M20. M20 not. Oh, he killed it though. This one here also goes off, but doesn't get damage done. So a couple of close calls there for Jay.
We're losing a capture point.
And of course one wipe. Those are the kind of nightmare scenarios, like Goliath on the other side of a building. Kind of similar to a demo charger on the other side of a building, but even worse. Because it can sneak there by itself. It doesn't need an engineer to go plant it. Sitting sitting on the triple cap, quite comfortable. Jay's actually got quite a lot of fuel. He's been floating a lot of resources most of the game. Could definitely tech up and get himself a tank just about now if he actually started his tech. Clearly feeling the mental strain of having to avoid these Goliaths. Sure, a lot of you guys remember the old days of the demo charge where you would always have to run around with sweepers and be very, very scared that at any stage your squad could just go up and smoke. It's very mentally fatiguing. At some stages you're just like, oh well, I just have to chuck my unit out there. Because if I don't, I'm just never going to have enough territory to win the game. And sometimes your squad would just end up dying. This is not looking good for Jay. He's got a second mortar now.
There's a major reporting for action.
Got his Major and Sherman in production. A very low command point game, not too many engagements.
You're at 200 points.
And this is really a tale of inadequate anti-tank. And Lieutenant tier against Panzer II is very, very tricky. Unless you have a Quali anti-tank gun or something similar. Bazooka's more of a deterrent than anything else. Oh! It's away. There's a Sherman. Maybe with some bazooka support, he can beat this Panzer IV. Typically though, this is a bit of a bad matchup. Get all your Panzer IV having much more armor. Generally wins this engagement, but you know, Sherman does have the superior moving accuracy and that can make the difference. Uh-oh. He's gonna, yeah, he has to keep it on piercing rounds because otherwise, if the Panzer IV arrives, and he's on high explosive, he could just lose the Sherman. Oh, he spots the Goliath briefly, thanks to a mortar shell landing on it. Because Jay has had so little control of his munitions point, can't afford the machine gun upgrade on the Sherman, which is unfortunate because when forced to use it on armor piercing rounds, there's an extra little bit of damage from machine gun upgrade really counts against infantry. Oh, well, now I'm going to steal that bazooka. Seems like Jay's finally starting to break out of the containment here. It's capping in the middle. Got rid of the machine gun in the south, so he's got some room to breathe down there as well. VonIvan mobilizing the looks now. We're going to shut down this
The enemy is left with
Okay,
only
good reaction
75
times. Gets
points.
back in.
Alert! Enemy is
Still takes the Faust though. Zuka's fans penetrate. But
level capabilities ready for deployment.
one Sherman shell connects. Two Sherman shells connect. Now it's actually in the lead. Looks like he used crit repair down here in the south. Got his M20 away to safety. Mortar's moving up now. Jay's just locking down this angle with the 50 cal.
They are down only to 50 points.
VonIvan goes in deep, gets the sector assault going. Sherman's been fully repaired and Panzer IV hasn't received any repairs. Could go down to the Sherman. Oh, Sherman backed away. Oh, and the Goliath gets the kill. Overwatch artillery also connects, does quite a lot of damage. And that's the game. Like Jay just didn't get off to a strong enough start. Losing that rifleman early really hurt him. Couldn't break the containment of VonIvan. Overall though, I don't know. Just don't see the strength of using this commander against OKW, who's using the looks. I feel like it's not really that viable. Anyway, onwards to game 2.